All right, people. Let's get it popping. Oops. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikase Sukatsu. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. And I am very, very thankful to actually be able to be live streaming right now because we've been having a lot of trouble with Comcast and or YouTube. To be honest, it's probably both of them, but whatever. We're here now, so we're just gonna get it done. All right. A lot of people have been wondering if Tulsi Gabbard has a legitimate chance and a legitimate path to victory in the Democratic primary election. And I am here to tell you she absolutely does. In fact, I would say she's one of only 4 people who actually have a chance. The 4 people are Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, and Joe Biden. The reason why Bernie Sanders has a chance is I feel like should be obvious. I mean, breaking every fundraising record in the history of presidential politics probably should be a qualifying factor, right? Andrew Yang has a legitimate chance because he's an outsider, and he has a lot of the appeal of a Bernie Sanders and a Tulsi Gabbard, but he also has a mainstream appeal as well, and he does follow some of the mainstream narratives. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's hard to argue with $1,000 a month, people. When you can't, I like to explain to people why I don't necessarily agree with Yang's version of UBI. It's very difficult and convoluted, and all they hear is $1,000 a month, and you can't really argue with that, right? So being realistic, and also Yang is top 2 in the Asian donation demographic. He and Tulsi get a large majority of the Asian donations. That's both combined East Asian and Southeast Asian, which would be obviously like India, the Middle East, in Pakistan. And so when you're looking at places like New York, California, and Illinois, where those Asian donor bases largely vote Democratic, you cannot discount Yang and Tulsi's potential advantage in those departments if the time should come. Obviously, Biden has a chance because he's the vice president or former vice president, and former vice presidents almost always have a chance. That's just what history has taught us. And of course, once the others are basically down and out after the first 2 or 3 primaries, they will coalesce behind Joe Biden. But I'm not really sure how many people will get behind him, because I think that energy might actually transfer to Bernie because of the wave. We've seen this year that there are people who, like Peter Dow, for example, who realize, see, I could keep fighting the tide, or I can jump on it and surf it. And that's what a lot of people, I imagine, are going to do. They'll try to co-opt his message. They'll try to push him to the center. They'll say, if you do this, we'll do this for you. And they'll say, we won't cheat you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, there's Tulsi Gabbard, who I am going to talk about right now. And I'll also do this explanation. I'll also explain why basically nobody else has a chance. So it should be understood that everything I'm about to explain is clearly barring election integrity issues and election fraud, which unfortunately there's almost no doubt that we'll encounter. That's why no matter what I say, you should, even if you're a Bernie supporter, even if you're a Yang supporter, you must stay vigilant. Sign up for polling, to watch polls. Sign up to be a part of the voting or electoral process if you can, if you have free time in your precinct. Because once again, cannot stress enough how literally everything I'm about to tell you, it's barring election integrity issues. So the first thing we have to figure out is if Tulsi can gain the visibility to be a relevant factor, right? Why would Niko be saying that if she's averaging 2.7% in the polls that the DNC are using for the national polling, how could she possibly have a chance to win? Well, the truth is that's not how that's not how Democratic primaries work, actually. Seriously, Democratic primaries aren't winner take all. It's all about momentum. Jimmy Carter had 1% in Iowa. Excuse me, he was polling at 1% and then goes on to win Iowa. And obviously, we already know how that story ends. He goes on to win the election. Why? Because momentum is everything. Now, the DNC just announced that a single delegate in Iowa will get any presidential candidate to the next debate. So it's obviously a way for Bloomberg to get in, unfortunately. Andrew Yang can get into the next debate. And, of course, Tulsi can get into the next debate. Now, why would they do something like that? Well, it's quite simple. It's hard to get a delegate in Iowa. Like, nobody is being shy about that. Nobody's being naive about that. You have to win 15% of an individual congressional district to get a single delegate. Or there is another way to do it, which is super weird, but also very difficult to do, but it's been done before. If you get 15% of the votes overall, then you get to keep all the delegates you got in the individual districts around the state. That's not a feat that I think that most can achieve except for 3. And unfortunately, I don't know if Tulsi's one of those 3 that can do it where she gets a spread out amount to add up to 15%. That's now, with that being said, I could be wrong about that because we've already found out that they're lying in the polls, putting asterisks by Tulsi's name, not asking people if they're going to vote for Tulsi. That's I can't possibly tell you if she's going to be able to do something like that. But I do know that I am pretty confident that she can get 15% in at least one district, at least one. I am pretty confident about that. And if she gets one delegate, then she ends up on the next debate stage. Now, that next debate is going to be February the 7th. February the 7th, it will be held in New Hampshire. Everybody knows that New Hampshire, other than Hawaii, is Tulsi's strongest state, where she spent the most money, where she spent the most time, and where she literally moved into an apartment there to campaign around the state. It is also a libertarian state. It is also a state that Bernie Sanders won handedly. It is also a state that Bernie Sanders won with a lot of independent votes, almost exclusively all of them. Because their only other option was Hillary Clinton. Why is that important? Well, it shows that state is up for grabs. It shows that Bernie has a great chance of winning it. And in an open primary state where Bernie has a great chance to win, Tulsi has a great chance to win as well, or at least finish in the top 2. If Tulsi gets into the New Hampshire debate by merely getting one singular delegate in Iowa, just one, it is a massive game changer. Why? Because I don't think that everyone is going to get a delegate in in Iowa. I don't think so. I think that obviously Biden will. I think Buttigieg unfortunately will, but they've already qualified for the debate. Yang is up in the air, but Tulsi's up in the air too as far as getting that delegate. Like, once again, not naive to that. Bloomberg, I don't think he's going to get it. And am I missing somebody? Steyer might. He's a weird thing. I don't know. I can't tell you. I really can't. So one delegate will get her into the New Hampshire debates. However, even still, she doesn't have to get into the New Hampshire debates to be top 3 in New Hampshire. Why would I say something like that? Well, if you've looked at polling outside of the DNC approved polls, which you should always do, Tulsi is either top 5, top 4, or even in many cases, top 3 in New Hampshire. And that has actually been consistent throughout almost the entire Democratic primary, and that was before she started spending all of her time campaigning there. It's important to remember that they haven't released a lot of New Hampshire primary polls, which is one of the reasons that Tulsi nor Andrew Yang qualified for the last debate. There is a reason for that. You can almost rest assured that they understand how well Tulsi is doing there. And from the people, from the field numbers, from the people who are campaigning there on the ground, people that I talk to on the ground, the signs are, don't ask why, but Tulsi Gabbard, Amy Klobuchar, and Bernie Sanders. Once again, don't ask me why. And then in like the super wealthy and affluent areas, I think Pete Buttigieg is doing decently well. But in an open primary state, Tulsi, Bernie, and Yang have the advantage. These are facts. Now, why is that a big deal? Because the DNC has kind of made it clear that, okay, if you can somehow remain relevant then you're going to have to, we got to let you into the debate. We can't really come up with an excuse, right? That's why I believe saying, oh, well, if you get a delegate, you'll be able to go to the debate. But that debate is, by the way, February 7th, right before the New Hampshire primary, which is okay, cool. But I do believe it's also a last ditch effort to make sure Tulsi can't win or place top 2 in New Hampshire. That is a big deal for them. I'm going to tell you why. Because like I just said, boy, it is going to be very, very difficult for anyone to get delegates besides Bernie Sanders, besides Joe Biden, and potentially Warren or Buttigieg. Warren and Buttigieg are kind of screwing each other in Iowa right now. Neither of them might get delegates specifically because Bernie and Biden, or because they're going to take delegates away from each other. And Bernie and Biden, I truly believe, are just going to do so well there. Or Biden's going to just crash there. That's really like the only two options for him. But I think that they're going to take so much away from each other that they might not get delegates. So Warren is done in New Hampshire, in case you didn't know. Her polling is trash there. And she basically stopped campaigning there altogether. With that being said, Buttigieg is not done, but Buttigieg, if he doesn't do very well in Iowa, then guess what? He hasn't really been spending all that much time in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is February the 11th. And I just read a poll, less than 1/3 of New Hampshire and Iowa voters both have finalized who the hell they're voting for. Did you know that? In other words, there is no one who has solidified that voter base. The person who has come closest, yes, as most of you have probably expected, is Bernie Sanders. Not, once again, this is caucuses. This is what he does. Caucusing is literally Bernie's bread and butter. But that means that Tulsi, once again, has the advantage that no one else has. No one, except for maybe Yang. But he's been seen more than Tulsi has. And that is, America is just now beginning to pay attention because the primaries were basically on the eve of the primary elections. So now America is paying attention. And all she needs is one debate. All she needs is one delegate. And for her, the entire trajectory of the race changes because she is being introduced to new Americans, new donors, being able to get a chance to give new perspective, a perspective that she was really being kept away from giving, right? Being silenced, being given enough time on stage. Also, everyone else, not named Biden, well, hey, I'm going to need you to figure this thing out before New Hampshire and South Carolina, because if you can't compete, we got to consolidate our resources. And so that money's going to start running dry, isn't it? Whereas Tulsi's donations will begin to rapidly increase. So if Buttigieg doesn't do well in Iowa, very well, by the way, if Warren doesn't do very well in Iowa, well then, if Tulsi does top 2, top 3 in New Hampshire, Tulsi can end up being the top 2 or top 3 in the entire race. Instantly. The Democratic establishment has screwed itself. They don't have an accurate pulse on how well Tulsi is doing in New Hampshire. They really don't know how well she's doing in Iowa either, but we definitely don't know how well she's doing in New Hampshire. That's a fact. I know that she's doing well, but we don't know quite how well. And the reason why is because they've been excluding her name off of polls. So she couldn't make the debates. And yeah, that might have worked temporarily. That was before she decided to give y'all the middle finger and say, you know what? I know I'm doing well there, so we're going to spend all of our time campaigning there. She also spent the other half of her time campaigning in South Carolina. Buttigieg is not going to survive South Carolina. Can we all agree on that? Can we all agree that Buttigieg is not going to survive South Carolina? Right? Got it. Amy Klobuchar is not going to survive South Carolina. Right? Got it. Warren is not going to survive South Carolina. Right? Got it. It's Biden. It's Bernie. I don't know how much time Yang has spent there, but he's an X factor there. And then it's Tulsi. Tulsi signs, if you've not been to South Carolina, and you want to go see something interesting, I dare you to go. And look how many Tulsi signs you see there. I just drove through it. That's why I'm telling you. Okay? So whereas Iowa is make or break for everybody except for Bernie and Biden, whereas New Hampshire is make or break for everybody except for Bernie and Biden, where Tulsi has everything to gain from Iowa, but even if she doesn't do well in Iowa, she is almost a shoo-in to do well in New Hampshire, a state with great election integrity that has been proven to go to a progressive, to go to outsider candidates in the past. This is a state that Ron Paul won. This is a state that Bernie Sanders won. And because of the trajectory of the primary after that, I was there. I saw what happened after New Hampshire to Bernie Sanders when he went, because people were not expecting him to be successful there. But he spent a lot of time in New Hampshire, had a fantastic team on the ground. And up until the 2 days before, most of the polls were saying Bernie was going to smack him, or excuse me, that Tulsi, Hillary was going to smack him by 20 to 30 points. Then on February 9th, after that debate came, they had a debate at some point around that time period. Then they were like, oh, maybe that's not going to go as well as we originally thought. Bernie almost beat Hillary so bad in that state that she almost didn't get a delegate. That's how bad he beat her. So the establishment, it's not looking too good for you there. However, once again, for a Tulsi, for Bernie, for a Yang, it looks very good for them. But for Tulsi specifically, it looks even better. It looks even better for her. Now, here's what happens adjacently if Tulsi ends up placing top 2 or even top 3 in New Hampshire. There's no more room for Buttigieg because he's not winning the next state. And the next state is South Carolina. You get what I'm saying? If you can't win South Carolina, you're not going to win California. First of all, let me be very clear about this. I'm going to be honest with y'all, okay? Tulsa's going to do pretty well in California. Pretty well. I need to clarify. Pretty well. But here's just the raw truth, and it's a pill that Tulsi supporters need to swallow before we get into California, okay? That is Bernie State. They're going to try every way they can to rig it, and the only thing that's going to happen, Bernie might end up with less votes, and he's still going to win. They don't like Biden. Warren is done there. LA is Bernie County. It is. Now, Yang and Tulsi have an advantage in the Bay Area because of the East Asian and Southeast Asian population, and they have the top 2 donors in that category. Or they are the top 2 as far as donors in that category. Can we encourage Tulsi to go on Joe Rogan again? I'm sure they're already talking about it. So if Tulsi does well in California would be 6 to 10%. That will keep her alive. But more importantly, so if there's nobody else she might get 15%. Now, I was doing my calculations based off of Kamala still being in the race. My apologies. Kamala's not in the race anymore. Kamala isn't in the race, so that takes away a whole body. That was 10% to 15%. She's no longer there, right? If she isn't there, Warren plummeted. Biden, I just don't see Biden doing well there. Yang is doing very well there. So shout out to the Yang gang. Yang is doing well there. Tulsi's doing well there too. But Bernie's, that's his state, bro. I just can't. I don't know how to parse that anyway. Any other way. It's Bernie State. I'm telling you as somebody who visits there frequently. I'm telling you as somebody who has people there on the ground that it's Bernie State. Tulsi is going to do very, very well there. But Bernie is just, he planted the seeds in California. 2 years ago. They're pissed that it got stolen from him the first time, and they're out for blood. Okay? So, with that being said, the California primary would be the first Super Tuesday, but that's all the way in March. If Buttigieg does not place top 3 in New Hampshire, if Warren does not place top 3 in New Hampshire, Bloomberg I don't think will. Steyer I don't think is a threat to anybody, to be real honest with you. Klobuchar is she's a wild card to a degree. But the two biggest threats that I think that we would all agree right now are Warren and Buttigieg for the short term, not the long term. Biden is somebody that we're going to be able to take out easily. If it's imagine a race where Biden is on an island with Bernie, Yang, and Tulsi. What happens next? Why do you think that Biden has been trying to kiss Andrew Yang's ass lately? Because he's not getting Tulsi. He's not getting Tulsi's delegates. He's not getting Bernie's delegates, clearly. And he has no... Bernie is outraising Joe Biden, and Bernie's only taking individual donations. He's not taking any corporate donations. So why do you think? Because there is, after South Carolina, a realistic possibility that, practically speaking, Biden will be on an island by himself. Because after South Carolina, it's Super Tuesday. Everybody don't make it to Super Tuesday. Everybody don't make it. I know a lot of people are going here thinking, oh man, if we could just make it through Super Tuesday. Listen what I'm telling you. A lot of candidates, because of the money they have to spend to maintain, a lot of people are not going to make it through Super Tuesday. I can guarantee it. After Super Tuesday. Now, Super Tuesday is going to be interesting. I can't rightfully predict the outcome of Super Tuesday right now, and that's because of the Southern Firewall. Them states are going to go every which way. I can't tell you. Like, Obama won a bunch of Southern states from Hillary last time they ran. But Hillary beat Bernie. But Bernie wasn't. They were suppressing him. So it was a little bit different. But Bernie's not being suppressed right now. So like it's a very complicated, like the Southern Firewall is going to be interesting. That's all I can say about that. And I can't predict that yet because I don't know who's going to be left. But I can tell you this: after Super Tuesday is when Biden will probably be done, and it will be like a month or so after that, right? Over the course of several elections. Because you know why? That's what I like to call, you ever heard of open season? Well, that's open primary season. Open and semi-open primaries all across the country, all across the Midwest. These are populous places. These are Midwesterners who are about their bread and their butter, not about whatever hell popular trend is going on in the Democratic Party. These are the states that we have seen proven to go progressive when the message is there. For example, I remember doing a show where Tulsi was top 3. It was in Wyoming for some fucking reason. It was Bernie, Biden, and at that time, I want to say it was Warren. At that time. And it was 7%, Warren and Tulsi, Warren was 6%, Tulsi was at 7%, Bernie was at like 14 or 15%, and then Biden was at like 20 something percent. But it was really weird because if you all can remember, Tulsi hasn't campaigned in Wyoming at all. She spent 0 time there. Now, at this point in the election, I think it's pretty safe for everyone to say Warren is not getting second place in Wyoming. She'll be surprised if she gets second place anywhere. Okay? Anywhere. But I do believe that that's just what, once again, that's what I'm trying to illustrate to you all, is that is one example of like places where Tulsi has an advantage that they're not talking about because they don't want people to have hope in the potentiality for her to pick up steam. Now, I don't want people to be naive about this fact. The fact is, if Bernie wants to beat, if Tulsi wants to beat Bernie, right? Let's just say when it's all said and done, because I truly believe it'll be Bernie, Andrew Yang, and Tulsi left. That's what's going to be left. I truly believe that. That's what it's shaping up to be. And hell, if you've been part of the MCSC network for quite some time, then you know it is a rare day in politics where one of our predictions does not come true. And I truly believe that it'll be Bernie, Tulsi, and Andrew Yang left. Now, with that being said, Andrew Yang and Tulsi, only one of them gets a chance to do it. Only one of them. You have to clean house for the rest of the election. That is the only chance you have of beating Bernie. And the reason why is because of superdelegates. The superdelegates will go to Bernie Sanders to prevent Tulsi specifically from winning. Conquering thought, you're way more connected down there in San Francisco. Seeing anything other than Yang signs? Tulsi is very popular in San Francisco, and Bernie is also very, very popular in San Francisco. At the Democratic Convention in California, Bernie and Warren and Tulsi were the most popular there. But overall, it was definitely, I would say, it was a tie between Tulsi and Bernie. If anyone who was there can tell you that it was crazy. I actually posted pictures. We were surprised at how popular Tulsi was there. I'm not going to lie. People in Kamala shirts were running up to Tulsi to take pictures. That's how popular she was. Hope Tulsi places in New Hampshire. I think she will. Now, like I was saying, they will go, the superdelegates will go to Bernie Sanders, and it's not necessarily because they want to, but Bernie has a wave that if you can co-opt it early enough, then it is advantageous to the establishment if he does not push back. Do you get my point? Why do you think the Ro Khannas of the world keep trying to push the idea of Warren? Because they're trying to co-opt that energy, because Bernie isn't going to live forever and the movement isn't always going to be his. They're trying to co-opt that energy and transfer it into a candidate that they're comfortable with, that they know will not push back too hard, so that they can pretend to be super progressive and populist and anti-war, but not actually have to follow through when the hard decisions need to be made. And so they co-opt that energy, and they tried, albeit Warren destroyed that chance, to transfer it into into Elizabeth Warren for the post-Bernie era of progressive politics. That's why the superdelegates are going to try and co-opt him early. Oh, Concrete Thought, South Florida. Oh, yeah, there are actually Tulsi signs out here. There are definitely Tulsi signs out here. But South Florida at the moment is Bernie's. At the moment. But not as much Biden's as you would probably think it would be. It's pretty much Bernie and Tulsi. Because the activism community has a lot of influence down here. That's how we found out that Tim Canova was cheated so much. Because when we organized out here, they organized. Well, I'm trying to tell you, okay? Shout out to Broward County progressives and the Miami-Dade people out here. But yeah, man. So it's highly likely that they're going to go to Bernie. The superdelegates will. Now, with that being said, if you want a chance to convince Bernie to give his delegates to Tulsi for some type of deal, I'm just being as realistic as humanly possible, because we need to be understanding here. We need to be realistic as humanly possible, right? I was realistic about her chances of winning, but I'm also telling you about the next step for a Tulsi supporter like myself would be, how much does she have a chance to actually beat Bernie? She has to be beating in a way that I'm not even sure is mathematically possible, if I'm being honest. It's possible, but the momentum and the swing that she would have to make, basically everything that like the general population was saying about Elizabeth Warren, oh, she's a young progressive Bernie. She potentially could replace him and we'd be fine. That needs to be said about Tulsi, and she has to get the conservatives in the open primary states. Wouldn't the superdelegates go to Yang because he's a puppet unlike the others? No, because Andrew Yang is too much of a wild card. He's a puppet when it comes to the military-industrial complex, right? But then if they start cheating, he'll also be the first one to call them out. So it's too much of a wild card. Bernie won't call out cheating, unfortunately. I'm just speaking from what we've seen. He maybe have changed his mind, but being real. But at the end of the day, it'll only be after maybe the first Super Tuesday. It won't be about a serious candidate. It'll be Bernie, Tulsi, Yang, Biden. Then after that, when the open primary states, because there's 37, bro, 37 open and semi-open primary states. Holy shit, that is so many. And they never talk about those states. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they never talk about the open and semi-open primary states, people? Do you think that's a mere coincidence? No, it's because, as we saw in 2016, that changes the entire landscape of the race and what it will look like at the convention. So after that little iteration of open primary states, Biden will be gone. It'll be Bernie, Tulsi, and Yang. Tulsi or Yang. They both don't get a shot at it. It'll be one or the other. And Yang is way too full of himself to pull out. I mean, it's not a bad thing per se. It's just he isn't about to bow out for no goddamn body, which is admirable, right? Tulsi isn't either. But that presents a unique problem to them too, and it's a benefit for Bernie because Tulsi and Yang have a very similar base. Very, very similar base. So Tulsi has to I'm gonna hit the campaign trail for her ass. I'm not even giving her a choice. I'm like, hey, I'm introducing you at every rally. We knocking on every door together. I'm about to go into the black community, every black church, and we gonna be singing the gospel. Oh Lord, thank you for sending Tulsi Gabbard. Oh Lord, we about to win this election together. Now can I get an anti-war? Voting for P. I'm gonna sing every black church. I'm telling you, and we get to that point, y'all might not see me for a while unless it's on camera with a Tulsi Gabbard shirt. I'm just being real, all right? But that's what it would take. She would have to do something amazing. But here's the thing about Tulsi Gabbard once again. Tulsi Gabbard is the only candidate in this race who is undefeated. Yang has never ran in an election, clearly. But I'm saying in this entire race. Warren is undefeated, but she was propped up to be that way. She can't win without the establishment backing her. But the problem is when you're running against a bunch of other establishment candidates, that's not necessarily how it always goes, is it? The establishment can't back everybody. And that's once again where the advantage for Bernie, Tulsi, and Yang come in because they are only funded by grassroots donations. So Tulsi is the only one who was undefeated. And it is not just her being undefeated. It is the fact that she's been undefeated since she was 21 years old. It is not just the fact that she's been undefeated since she was 21 years old. She's been undefeated at the local level. She's been undefeated at the state level. And she's been undefeated at the congressional level, even last election when they tried to run every candidate in damn Hawaii against her. And guess what? She came out on top in such a way that she is now the most popular politician in the history of Hawaiian politics. There's a reason for that. Oh, but it gets better. She is the only candidate out of everybody where every race that she has been a part of, she has been 20 points down with zero chance to win and always ends up winning by at least 20 points. There is a reason why they won't let you see Tulsi Gabbard And like I said, in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, when they see Tulsi Gabbard, that's it. That is it. When they see Tulsi Gabbard, that is, especially when there's no one else to distract from her. There will be Bernie. Bernie is great. There'll be Yang. Yang is great in some ways. But when they're like, hold on. So she likes UBI like Yang. Okay, that's cool. She also likes almost all the domestic policies that Bernie likes. That's great. But especially as she gets better at contrasting the job of the presidency and explaining, like, okay, hey, who here is the only one left that has actually served as an officer in the military, commanded troops, trained other troops, not only at home and abroad, understands the military-industrial complex, and has shown more conviction than literally anybody else in this field. Anybody else. When people figure out she was the one who left the DNC to endorse Bernie, when people figure out she was the one to finally take out Kamala when no one else would, when people figure out this entire time they have been hidden from her because of who she is, because of what she is capable of, she will be a beneficiary of the quote unquote Trump effect. And the more they slander her, it's going to get even better. I can't wait for it. But that's the only way she'll be able to beat Bernie. It's just a sweeping change in the trajectory of the race. One like we really haven't seen before. Oh, yeah, no, we saw it one other time. The only other time that the trajectory has changed like that was Barack Obama. That was it. And by the way, for those people like, oh man, he's established. Nope, bro. If you listen to his campaigns early on, he was talking damn near very similar to Bernie Sanders. So that's the only other time we've seen it in history. But if that is the case, and she does end up going crazy, then she could take this thing home in a way we've never seen before. Democrats might not be happy with it, but it's only so many. Once again, you have to use the map to your advantage. In states like California, they can rig it. Don't expect to win it if you're Tulsi Gabbard. Expect for them to make it look like you can win, but okay, fine. I'll take whatever delegates I can get. New York, they can rig it. Look now, they can't just drop registrations like they tried before because you don't know who you're going to affect. Because guess what? All of Biden's second choices for Biden, half of their second choices, they're Bernie. But also, they're like Warren. But some also are Yang. You can't just drop registrations. You can't just drop new registrations. Because if you do, you might end up inadvertently, really, to be honest, anybody. So when registrations get dropped right now, say if everything stays equal, Bernie is the only one here who is widely popular. So if you drop registrations early on, the only one benefited is Bernie Sanders. If they do that dumb shit, they get what they deserve. So they can't play that game as much. They can't pinpoint Tulsi's best areas. They can't do it yet. They can't really do it with Yang either. You can't pinpoint Bernie's either now because every area is kind of his best area if we're being honest. At least for now. So you can't they might not like it, but by the time they can actually get a grip on everything that they were able to get a grip on in 2016, it might just be too late. And guess what? The decision might be left up to Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard. And guess what? I trust whatever decision they make. I do. If Bernie chooses Tulsi and gets behind him or her unwaveringly, I trust that. If Tulsi says, hey, I'm giving my delegates to Bernie, and she'll likely explain why to me, and if she's giving her delegates to Bernie, that means she has control of foreign policy, and that's what I want. If she's giving her delegates to Bernie Sanders, that means she has control of foreign policy. I can guarantee you that. That means she is 100% the last deciding factor for any major foreign policy decision. I can guarantee it. And that will be perfectly fine with me. That's the only way she's giving them to Bernie. So if it comes down to that, I will take that 100%. But and that would lead her into the next election looking like a guaranteed victory. Same thing with Bernie. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if Bernie decided to give him to Tulsi, of course I'd take that. If for whatever reason by that time he's like, hey man, that's why. I mean, I feel like you're the best. You are younger. I want to be on the ground. You know, because the vice president, it's easier for you to stay domestic. It's easier for you to be out of Washington, going to campaign, fighting in the Senate. As vice president, it's easier for you to go down in the Senate and get your fight on. You're already in the Senate, technically. You can do that. But first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, Tulsi needs to get a delegate or two in Iowa. She needs to win top 2, top 3 in New Hampshire. We got to take out these frauds. So go to Tulsi Gabbard's website right now. If you're a Tulsi supporter, sign up, volunteer. I can't remember what she's doing for phone banking or texting, if she's doing texting or not. But if you're in New Hampshire, if you're in the New Hampshire area, if you're in the New England area, maybe you're a Massachusetts Tulsi supporter, go now. Go volunteer. Go knock on doors. Go canvas. Go donate. Donate. I cannot stress you, because now it's a matter of reach. So the more ads she can run now in those targeted areas, what's the rule? They see Tulsi, it's hard to vote for somebody else. Go donate right now. Tulsi2020.com. Seriously. Because she has a path to victory. But it's only going to come with each and every one of us doing our parts individually. And in her executing in the ways that we've already seen she's been able to. That move that she made to not go to that debate and instead focus on New Hampshire and South Carolina might have been the ultimate power move. And if anybody remembers, whoever follows me on Twitter, what did I say about, I want to say October? I think I said in October. I said, y'all, if Tulsi's smart, she's going to stop campaigning everywhere else and she's going to focus on New Hampshire. If she wins New Hampshire, this thing's going to bust wide the fuck open. And where is she at? Because Tulsi is smart. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you know what? I just saw something that somebody said. Love waves. It's interesting that you said that, because did you know historically in the Democratic and Republican primaries, a lot of the times, I think almost a majority of the times, the person who wins Iowa doesn't end up winning the race. And in fact, a lot of the times, if you win Iowa, you end up getting throttled. And I think it's because caucuses are so weird that they just have they don't really give you an accurate depiction of what the rest of the country is going to do. Caucuses are so weird. In Iowa, don't place any don't expect Iowa to be this weird thing or some solid representation of the rest of the country. There's going to be a lot of election rigging there. I don't know what to tell you. It's just going to be a lot of election rigging in Iowa. A whole lot. You can call in. Hey, I'm caucusing, everybody. This is my 3rd time call. I'm just calling for Biden one more time. Just want to make sure you register the other 4 times I called. Just saying. It's not going to be pretty in Iowa, but we're not worried about Iowa. We're worried about the secured open primary state coming up next, which is New Hampshire. That's one of the states that that once again they have some of the best election integrity. Proven. We've seen it. We saw it last election. So that's where Tulsi. This is that state that isn't a make or break state for her. She can still, if she gets top 4, she's still good. If she gets top 2, she is great because she just shot from 6th, 7th place to 3rd place, 2nd place potentially. And I'll be there. I'm gonna be there. I gotta make it. I gotta go up there. Oh man, she lucky I love this campaign so much because boy, I do not do well in the cold. Y'all know that. But hey, gotta do what you gotta do, right? That being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream segment of Mika Says Sukasa. I can't believe we're actually able to get through without being throttled. We'll see if that works again tomorrow. But always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the Rockfin app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.